Hello, young explorers. I'm James Raffin, and this video is another context and background to help prepare us to make a tried and true Inuit toy or tool called the Ajagaaq. Making one of these will be a satisfying challenge for you, I'm sure. At least I hope so. But I think you'll also be interested to learn how even toys are part of teaching people the skills they need to succeed in life. Now, you may have seen a similar toy in modern stores called a bilboquet, which may have been developed in France, or a kendama, which may have been developed in Japan. But my guess is that these modern toys are actually, if they're not either evidence of parallel evolution, meaning the toys were invented in different places, I suspect that there may be a relationship between this very old toy and tool and certainly the Ajagaaq predates the bilboquet by a very long time. The Ajagaaq has been around as long as Inuit have been roaming the circumpolar world, and that probably has something to do with giving kids something to do to keep them occupied when they're little. But also, I think it has to do with teaching young people, well, this is of a family of target toys that have to do with hand-eye coordination, among other things, that are fun, yes, but that hand-eye part of it is about the physical and proprioceptive skills that mimic either throwing a harpoon or a spear. And this, of course, are skills that are absolutely critical to success hunting out on the ice or on the land in summer. Our resource person for this making activity is an old friend of mine called David Serkoak. The name he was given when he was born in a tent on the barren lands west of Hudson Bay was Hikwak. And Hikwak is a proud member of the Aharmiut people of Enadai Lake. And in his nearly 70 years, Hikwak has seen much come and go, including being mentioned in Farley Mowat's two books, The People of the Deer and The Desperate People. And I should just say as an aside, throughout his early years, Hikwak gathered things that he wanted to say to Farley Mowat. As he was becoming a teacher, Hikwak read these books and noted some inaccuracies on the part of Farley Mowat. And he finally actually got a chance to phone Farley. Farley had covered a case for Maclean's in Iqaluit, I believe. It was a murder trial in Iqaluit, and David saw in his byline in Maclean's that Farley Mowat lived in Port Hope, so he looked him up, and he started angry, he told me, when he was talking to Farley, but very soon after it was just two people telling stories of common experiences. But Hikwak and I met through Students on Ice, perhaps 20 years ago, where I got to know him as a wise and patient teacher, particularly on the subject of Inuit drumming. Now, Hikwak is a remarkable Canadian and amazing advocate for his people, the Inuit, but he has drummed all over the place. He's drummed on Parliament Hill, he's drummed at significant events having to do with the rights of Indigenous people. We have traveled many kilometers together in the Arctic and elsewhere, and including a journey in 2017 when Hikwak and I went to the North Pole together. There's more to that story. His life is so interesting, actually, and so important that I've created a separate video from our conversation about the Aharmiut Relocation Committee and about his life and his quest to have injustices that were brought upon his people by the government of the day, to have an apology and a reconciliation with that, which is a fascinating part of his life. But as with the other resource people at Exploration Central, I connected to Hikwak by Zoom, and I want to just play you a part of that conversation where he's actually talking about this lovely little toy that's going to be, well, it's a tool and a toy that's part of it. Here's that conversation now. Hikwak.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing, man?
I am fine. How about you?
I'm going a little snaky down here.
Uh-huh. Me too. I look like a lumberjack today.
Well, I always think of you with your concert T-shirts on, and you haven't been to a concert in a while, so you don't have any concert T-shirts that are new.
I know it drives me crazy. Since I started going to concert, I think over 50 concerts for sure, mostly country. And I think one concert I went without checking. I just bought the ticket, just arrived from Akbayat, threw in my suitcase. There's something happening at Winnipeg Arena. I went in, sit down, skidoo boots, Harry Parker, and all these young people start to arrive in black leather outfits, and music starts, and it's not exactly Buck or George Jones music. It was Judas Priest. So I think by song number 2, I left. I went back to my hotel.
Listen, Hikawak, when you were growing up, you and I have traveled a bit. I know you a little bit of your story, but it was a pretty hard growing up. But I know that you love games and toys and little puzzles and tricks like the Ajagaaq. But tell me a bit about how you learned about those sort of games, and maybe who taught you them early on.
In late 50s and early 60s, we don't have any kind of hand games or structured games that they play at school and stuff. So many things that we learn uh, while still living in traditional camp is toy boat, toy kayak, and sliding and running on a sheer ice, balancing, so try not to fall. Um, who can stay up with 1 foot longest without falling? All these games are preparing you to be good with balancing, like maybe in kayak or hunting or something. There's always purpose for these toys or games, and many of these involve 2 or more people. So one of them, like this game, Ajagaaq, is played usually in among 2. You have an opponent, and you just play, or you can just play like that. When you
Look
get
at you. It was like it was, yeah, it would look like you practiced that.
and when you get very good at it, you can go maybe even like one full one full circle or 2 circles. And some people are very good at it, and all of our Ajagaaqs are from the Caribou Antler. There's some without holes. The one with holes on the side, like this, or this simple one. And when you
So
play with
Hikawak,
the
before
Go
the
ahead.
days of the electric drill, how would you make the holes in the antler like that? What would you use, an awl or something?
the best uh, uh, antler would be kind of the one you found on the land being withered out for several years, and inside part Uh, there's a bone, but very sort of flaky. You got with your knife, you can almost make a hole.
Yeah.
But with drills you have, you can make the hole almost in 1-2 minutes like that. Big enough, then you make it smooth a bit more with the file. Then from there, vice grip, then you make these holes. And I mentioned earlier, it's 2 people. Every time you get one, you advance, starting getting up, get dressed. That kind of go out, check the weather, start packing. You start your hunting. You look around, saw a caribou, shot a caribou, skin a caribou, pack your sled, head home, you arrive. And if your opponent is not very good, he's still way behind. That's one way of playing with opponent.
Where does the name Ajagaaq come from? Like, does it have a meaning, or is this a refer to that toy?
I'm not sure where the name come from. It just everyone in Eastern Arctic just know the name of the game is Ajagaaq. So I'm not sure who come up with the name or the real meaning of Ajagaaq.
When would you have first learned about that? When you were little?
When we were in Annandale Lake before we moved to west coast of Hudson Bay in mid-50s, late 50s, we always have Ajagaaqs.
Listen, Ajagaaq, before I let you go, kids are going to make Ajagaaq. Any tips about how to do it properly? Like, I'm wondering, is the length of the cord between the end bit and the handle, is that important, or what are the you might have? How pointed is that stick?
It could be longer. For a longer one, you have to be a good coordination, or this is a good practice length, because you can almost get one at every try. You can almost, so it could be a bit longer. So it's hard to find a bone like this. If you
Yeah.
want to pick exactly this style, this could be a tube
Yep.
from Home Hardware, plastic tube. You can almost make them with any tubing also, wooden tubing or plastic tubing, utility tube. Cut them into this. They also will do the trick. In elementary school, we make them out of toilet paper roll. That also worked in the classroom. But for bigger kids, a bone is good like that. Cow has a big bone, that is also good.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm gonna try to do that, and it's this science rendezvous thing. It would have been so much fun. I actually built a Chromatic just for you as your drum stage, and it's out back here. It's quietly getting weathered by the wind and the rain and everything. So maybe one day we'll do that. But in the meantime, I really appreciate your help here, and it's always great to see you, my friend. And you make a pretty good lumberjack. Pretty high tech lumberjack with your.
Hopefully, I'll go visit Kingston after the virus.
Remember, we met in the train station.
Yes.
Well, I'd love to have you to the house here sometime. We can see you. But in the meantime, still, my friend.
Okay. Thank you. Nice chatting with you.
Great.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.